Most children dream of owning a pet. Surely many of you brought home a stray cat or dog, hoping to keep them with you. The story that I want to tell you today is about how one little boy, without waiting for his parents to buy him a dog, made friends with a dangerous wild forest animal. But how this turned out for their family, no one could have expected. It happened in a very distant taiga village where an ordinary family of 3 lived, a father, a mother, and their 12-year-old son. The head of the family was engaged in a hunting business, making a living for his family. The mother spent most of her time at home doing household work and managed to earn extra money on a farm that was nearby. The boy often asked his parents to get a dog. He dreamed so much of a 4-legged friend whom he could take care of while his parents were busy. But his parents did not want to take on such a responsibility, and every time they refused. One day, his father's brother came to visit them. He lived nearby and often went to visit his brother and his family. Of course, he knew about the great desire of his beloved nephew, and this time he came not alone, but he brought a surprise for the boy. He drove up, opened the car, and pulled out a box that squeaked and made plaintive noises. The boy looked at it in amazement. He was already beginning to guess what was in the box, but he could not believe his happiness. His hands were shaking with excitement. He opened the box and saw a small gray puppy there who was scared and hid in a corner and squeaked, worried about his future. The boy was so happy, he even forgot to say thank you to his beloved uncle. He carefully took the puppy out of the box, put him on his lap, and started stroking him gently. The parents were also surprised by such an unexpected gift, and seeing how much their child shone with happiness, they surrendered and allowed him to keep the pet. The boy played with his new pet all day long. He fed and looked after him, played and taught him different commands. The dog grew gradually, and the parents began to notice that he had far from regular canine traits and habits. He had a short neck, a long nose, and powerful legs. And when one night they heard the drawn-out howl of their 4-legged friend, their fears were justified. This was not a dog, it was a wolf. They thought for a long time about what to do in this situation. Of course, it was necessary to get rid of the wild beast, and the sooner the better. But looking at the eyes of their son, full of love and devotion to his friend, they could not do such a thing. The parents decided to wait a little while to see what would happen. The wolf did not show any aggression, but on the contrary, he was very affectionate and careful with their son. Therefore, they decided that he would still live with them, and they would not deprive their son of his faithful friend and pet. The boy was incredibly happy about such a kind decision of his parents and promised that he would take care of him even better so that he would not cause any problems to his family. The birthday of the father was approaching. The parents invited all their friends and relatives to the celebration. The mother was actively involved in preparing the festive table. The father was preparing chairs and a table, and there was an active preparation for the holiday. When the guests began to arrive, they looked with apprehension at the gray wolf who met them at the threshold. He did not show any aggression, he just looked at them, but people still felt incredible fear next to a wild beast. Then the boy's mother decided to lock the pet in the barn so that he would not frighten their guests. The boy did his best to prevent this. He was offended for his friend because he did nothing wrong. But the mother was relentless, took the wolf to the barn and locked him up so that the boy could not let him out. The boy was sitting for a long time near the door, talking to his friend through a small crack in the door, and did not want to leave him. By the evening, the holiday was coming to an end, and the guests were getting ready to leave when the parents discovered that their son was nowhere to be found. The mother thought that all this time he had been sitting at the door of the barn, but he was not there. The boy was neither at home nor in the yard, and the wolf was whimpering plaintively inside the barn. After a thorough examination of the local area, everyone realized that the boy most likely went alone into the forest. Everyone rushed to find him. Soon the whole village was coming into the forest with lanterns and torches in their hands. They looked under every bush, but the pitch darkness of the night, which had already descended on the forest, made the search for the child almost impossible. Therefore, it was decided to postpone until sunrise so as not to waste energy on futile attempts to find the child. In the morning, the people gathered at the boy's house, took with them everything they needed to search, and went into the forest. And only at that moment, the mother remembered about the wolf locked inside the barn. She went to the barn, opened the door, and the wolf jumped out. He went into the forest in front of everyone, as if knowing that the boy was lost and he must find him. At that moment, one of the volunteers shouted that he had found scraps of the boy's clothes on a bush. Everyone rushed in that direction. From this bush, traces were clearly visible, which went into the depths of the thicket. The wolf approached, sniffed a piece of his little master's clothing, and rushed headlong into the depths of the forest, guided by his instinct. People ran after him, trying to catch up with the animal, but he ran so fast that very soon he disappeared from sight and the people lost him. All day they wandered through the forest, shouting in vain the name of the boy, but they could not find any trace of him. By the evening, it was decided to stop searching again until morning, since it was impossible to search in the dark. The parents returned home, but what was their surprise when they found their son in the courtyard of their house? He was lying on the porch unconscious, and his leg was tightly caught in a trap. Nearby was the wolf, his faithful companion, who carried him out of the forest and brought him home. The parents immediately took the poor boy into a car and took him to the local district hospital. All night they were on duty near the boy's room, not closing their eyes, and in the morning he finally woke up. By the evening, he was already able to speak and told them what happened to him that day in the forest. It turned out that the boy was very offended by his parents that day for the fact that they locked up his friend in the barn. He tried with all his might to open the door and release him, but nothing came of it. And then he decided to look in the forest for a large and strong stick to try to knock the lock off the door, but then he got lost. He wandered through the woods for a long time, shouting, trying to find his way home, but he couldn't. It was at this moment that there was a dull thud of iron, then a crunch, and the boy experienced terrible pain. His foot fell straight into a trap, most likely left by poachers. The boy instantly lost consciousness from the painful shock. The next thing he remembered was the cold nose of his wolf poking his cheek and licking his face. Then again, he fainted. Then the boy felt that the beast was dragging him along the grass, and again he lost consciousness. And then he woke up in the hospital. It turned out that the wolf very quickly found the boy in the forest by smell, clearly identifying the trail and following his instincts. When he found him, he was unconscious, and the wolf decided by any means to take him out of the forest. He dug the trap from the ground, thereby freeing him from his tied captivity and then dragging him home. He came out from the other side of the forest, so the people who were actively searching did not meet them on their way, and when he brought the boy home and put him on the porch, he lay faithfully next to him, afraid of losing him again. The parents were so happy that their son was found alive. They sincerely thanked the wolf for saving their child. On that day, they realized that their son would not have a more reliable and loyal friend than this wild beast. He would never leave him in trouble. Of course, they no longer hesitated for even a moment whether to have the animal in their home or not. They definitely accepted him into their family. It is a pity, of course, that in order to understand how devoted this wolf was to the boy, such a grief had to happen. But as they say, all is well that ends well, and this story had a very happy ending. Did you enjoy this incredible story? Share your opinions in the comments, and also click like, subscribe to the channel, and watch new incredible stories about the life of people and animals.